This is an Anycubic Linear Plus Unassembled Delta Raw Stock 3D Printer console, large print size with heat bed and power supply that we found on Amazon, and we built it about a month ago. Real happy with this printer, and in fact so happy with it that we decided to buy a second one. Today we're going to build the second one. Our printer was double packed in 2 boxes. The inner box is a triple layer of corrugated cardboard, and then it's got nice foam packaging on the inside. This one was actually opened up by my employer, and they turned the box upside down, and so the pieces were kind of scrambled. I tried to put it back together the way it's supposed to be. We'll just look inside here. Inside you can see that the parts were pretty neatly packaged. Everything was packaged so it wouldn't rattle around, and unfortunately when they turned the box upside down they kind of made a mess. This is my first YouTube video. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking. I'm not going to go through every single step. I'm just going to kind of show you the highlights. It does come with a fairly thorough instruction manual that's roughly translated from the Chinese. It's a little difficult to read through, but you can get through it if you concentrate. It comes with a detailed packing list, and they very helpfully checked off everything on the list for you so that you don't have to go through and check. No, you do have to go through and check, but it's interesting that they sent a photocopied checklist, and the checklist, the check marks are all photocopied as well. Okay, so I've got it all out of the box here, and you can see that everything is kind of neatly put in bags. Most of the bags are labeled with part numbers and so forth. Well, I can't see those right now, but there's a bag full of fasteners and fittings. They're all labeled so that you know what you need. It's got some really nice stepper motors. We'll go through all these parts as we go through the video. One thing I did notice is that there's quite a bit of swarf on these extrusions. I found that it comes off as you take off the protective plastic covering on it. It picks up most of the swarf, but I'm going to knock that off on the ground as I put it together. It's got nice ball bearing slides here instead of plastic pulleys. You can see the hot end here. So we'll go through all those parts as we go through the build here. I've taken all the fasteners out of their bags here. One of the things I noticed when I first started building it, the fastener bags are numbered C1 through C20, and as I was going through it I noticed that there were some numbers missing. The parts list that they provide shows that some of the parts are for the pulley version of this printer, others are for the linear slide version of it. So if it looks like you're missing some parts, look a little more closely at the parts list. You'll see that some are for the pulley version and others are for the linear version only, and the ones for your version are included, the ones for the other version are left out. We noticed from the last one that there were lots of extra fasteners in the packages, so if you drop a screw or two, in most cases you're okay, although there's a few pieces of hardware where there's only 1 or 2 in the bag and you only need 1 or 2. So be sure you don't lose those. Okay, to put this together, the first thing we did was take inventory. We made sure we had all the parts and pieces. And the next thing you need to do is put together the top and bottom triangles. I think the reason this is called a delta printer is because it's in a triangular or delta shape. But anyway, we're going to build the top and bottom triangles. And to do that, we're going to use these M4 screws. It comes with a big supply of M4 screws. It also comes with these M4 nuts, and when we built the first one we found it was pretty awkward to put that together, so I went ahead and ordered some of these other insertion nuts here. Top triangle first, and to put the top triangle together you're going to need 12 of these fastener C16s, which are M4 by 10 millimeter machine screws. Actually they're socket head screws. And we're going to use 12 of the M4 insert nuts. The nuts that come with the printer work just fine, but I think these are going to be a little bit easier to use in some of the places because you can kind of insert them after you've put it all together. Okay, here I've put the M4 by 10 millimeter screws through each of the corner brackets and added the insertion nuts. We also need to add an insertion nut and an M4 screw right here at the end. These are what are going to hold these brackets to the uprights, so you'll need 3 more of those. They go through this hole and then they'll thread on the inside here. I can't do this left-handed, so I got to turn the camera off. So it's a little tricky to get this in, but you just got to put this screw in here. Go ahead.
How are you supposed to get this? Your fingers are fatter than mine. How did you do it the first time? Like...
Okay, so I just take the nut, I balance it on the end of my finger, and I just slide it in here. I can't do it one-handed, but you just balance it on the end of the finger and then slide it in here and then drop the screw in, okay?
All right.
Okay. Place it down on the table.
Oh, it holds itself. Duh.
Okay, then turn it right side up. There you go. Slide it in there until it's just under the hole. And then drop the machine screw in there. And just kind of wiggle it around until it bites. Did it bite?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can let it go. Okay, there you go.
Oh.
Just like that. Okay, and this is what's going to slide over the uprights. That's these guys. These long ones here. Those uprights will slide into the end here. But that's after we get all the triangles done. Okay. So when you get that put together, your corner bracket's going to look like this. And then you have just one last step to do. You have to capture the ends of the upright extrusions so that they don't slide all the way through. So there are some 25 millimeter M4 screws, these guys right here, and also some M4 nuts, and they're going to go right through this hole right here. This is kind of confusing from the instructions, so I'm going to go ahead and detail a little bit more. So it goes in here like that. You would hold that and put your finger over it so it doesn't fall out. No, over the screw. There you go. All right, now flip that over. Okay, and hold that. And then what we're going to do is just drop this nut right onto here. I drank a little too much coffee today. I got the jitters. There we go. So that's going to go like that. And then it actually drops into a hexagonal. See if we can get on the other one here. You can see there's a hexagonal relief or something in there to capture that M4 nut, and that just tightens down all the way. You can just get it finger tight, and then when we do the final assembly, we'll snug that down real tight. Make sure that actually goes. Make sure that the nut actually goes into that hexagonal hole right there, and then you don't have to worry about holding it with a wrench. You can just tighten that down with your fingers. One of the things they've done is they've actually provided a serviceable little toolkit. Okay, we ran out of space on our SD card on that last one, so where I left off was we're talking about the little toolkit that comes with it. These are pretty good little tools. That is, they do the job, but you might want to go out and get yourself a good set of miniature metric ball end hex drivers. And if you can get some that are in a kind of a screwdriver configuration, you'll find that's easier. I went ahead and ordered a set of those, and then I left them at my other shop, so I can't really can't show you those right now. Okay, the instructions tell you to set up the 3 legs of the triangle like this and snug these down and then try to slide them all together. I found that almost impossible to do when we built the first one, so that's one of the reasons I bought the insertion nuts instead. If you don't get the insertion nuts, I would recommend that you just leave everything really, really loose. Slide everything together into one big triangle, and after you've got everything tightened together, wrap a bungee cord or a strap or something around the perimeter of the triangle and then tighten down the screws. If you use the insertion nuts and you turn them sideways, then you can just take the extrusion, and you can see it's got slots in here, and those insertion nuts, these are post-insertion nuts, they'll slide right in there. Can you slide that together? Go ahead, slide that together. Just push it right in. As long as they're horizontal, facing the same way there, you can just push it in. Okay, so make sure that these nuts are in the horizontal direction, and then that'll just drop right into the slot there, just like that. Then take your ball driver and just give that just a little bit of a twist, and give that one a little bit of a twist, and now it's captured in there. Okay. And what's nice about that is that we can just do all of them that way. Make sure that all of these M4 by 25 millimeters screws are facing the same direction when you put this top frame together. Otherwise you'll have to take it apart.